Brother Enoch here, and today I'd like to talk about Poetry and the Gods, written by H.P. Lovecraft and Helen Crofts in 1920. The first main element within Poetry and the Gods that I think is important is that dreamers and poets are prophets. This idea will show up again and again in Lovecraft's work. It's already shown up in the earlier works, but it'll become more and more important as time goes on. Especially in stories like Call of Cthulhu. But I'll get to that whenever I cover those stories. But in Poetry and the Gods, we see that the main character, a woman who's reading poetry out of a magazine or some sort of magazine or printed material. We find that she is called a prophetess, and that she's truly spoken of the new age. And we also see in Poetry and the Gods that the gods are sleeping, and this again will come up in Call of Cthulhu and other more important stories. And we see that the prophetess in the story, it's spoken of her: "In thy yearning hast thou divined what no mortal, saving only a few whom the world rejects, remembereth, that the gods were never dead, but only sleeping the sleep and dreaming the dreams of gods in lotus-filled Hesperian gardens. And now draweth nigh the time of their awakening, when coldness and ugliness shall perish, and Zeus sit once more on Olympus." Notice that with the awakening, ugliness perishes. That's a difference between these gods in Poetry and the Gods and the gods that Lovecraft writes about later. I think this is before Lovecraft really settled in on the alien god theory. But it says here that ugliness will perish with the awakening of these gods like Pan and Zeus. And compare this with Cthulhu's awakening, where there's a madness and an anarchy, and there's ugly undertones. Also note the kindness, beauty, understanding, and grace of the gods in Poetry and the Gods. "The day now dawns when man must answer for centuries of denial, but in sleeping the gods have grown kind, and will not hurl him to the gulf made for deniers of gods. Instead will their vengeance smite the darkness, fallacy, and ugliness which have turned the mind of man, and under the sway of bearded Saturnus shall mortals, once more sacrificing unto him, dwell in beauty and delight." Now, in Poetry and the Gods, we find that there is a new prophet, or a poet in its terminology, born unto our world. "Long have we dreamed in lotus gardens beyond the west, and spoken only through our dreams, but the time approaches when our voices shall not be silent. It is a time of awakening and change. Amidst this chaos, prepared to herald his coming, yet to conceal his arrival, even now toileth our latest born messenger, in whose dreams are all the images which other messengers have dreamed before him. He it is who shall proclaim our return and sing of the days to come." And of course there are the beliefs of the world, which are dealt with in Poetry and the Gods. "Weep not at the bleakness of thy life, for the shadow of false faiths will soon be gone, and the gods shall once more walk among men." I often wonder what makes artists create what they do. How often do they know the true meaning and the motive of the works that they call their own? Even when claiming the absence of allegory or symbolism, Tolkien and Baum come to mind, is present nonetheless. Fiction is a type of game and partially induced dream. And all good games and dreams partake of the same qualities as magic. Therefore, any story or act of creation will be magical and have meaning, even if correspondence evades reason or even common symbolism. This is often more true when the creators are unaware of these facts.